"Don't take advantage," the lost girl warned, but the desert hermit had other plans. Clara Bennett had exactly 4 minutes to find shade, or the Mojave Desert would claim her as its latest statistic. Her car was a twisted wreck 5 miles back, and her water bottle was bone dry. She was 24, a high-fashion model from NYC, who had lost control of her life and her steering wheel. As the 106-degree heat began to blur her vision, she saw a mirage that turned out to be real, a small, stone cabin tucked behind a massive red rock. Standing on the porch was Elias Thorne, a lonely man in his 60s, with silver hair and eyes that looked like they had seen the birth and death of stars. He didn't look like a hermit. He looked like a man who had chosen silence over a world that didn't make sense anymore. Clara stumbled onto the porch, her skin blistered and her spirit broken. She didn't ask for a phone. She just collapsed at his feet. Elias didn't panic. He moved with a strange calm, lifting her like she weighed nothing and carrying her into the cool, dark interior of the cabin. The air inside smelled of dried lavender and ancient wood. "You're burning up, Clara," he whispered. Though she hadn't told him her name yet, he reached for a bottle of dark, aromatic oil, a secret blend of desert herbs. "To save your skin, I have to touch the fire. Don't take advantage of the silence. Just breathe." Clara felt a shiver that had nothing to do with the heat. She was lost in the desert, but as Elias opened the bottle, she felt like she was finally being found. This wasn't just a rescue. It was the start of a strange ritual that would lead to a truth no one saw coming. The cabin was a sanctuary of sensory details. Outside, the wind howled like a wounded animal, but inside, the only sound was the drip of oil into Elias's palms. Clara lay face down on a hand-carved cedar table, her malnourished frame draped in a thin silk sheet Elias had provided. As he began the massage, the pure American silence between them was heavy with unspoken questions. Elias's hands were rough like the desert floor, but moved with the tenderness of a poet. He wasn't just taking advantage of her helplessness. He was documenting her pain through his touch. He felt the rope burns on her wrists, old scars from a life of high society abuse. She thought she'd buried in Manhattan. "The desert doesn't keep secrets." "Clara," Elias said, his voice a low rumble. "It only peels back the layers until the truth is all that's left." He applied the oil to her shoulders, his thumbs finding the exact pressure points where her stress was stored. Clara felt a wave of romance she hadn't experienced in years, not the fake, flashy kind from the city, but something grounded and raw. She realized Elias knew about her. $200,000, inheritance, and the men who were hunting her for it. She saw a specific data point. On his desk, a photo of her mother from 30 years ago. The injustice of her life was starting to fade, replaced by a protective fury she saw in Elias's eyes. He wasn't just a lonely man. He was a secret guardian who had been waiting for this exact moment for 2 decades. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the massage took a strange turn. Elias began to hum a melody that Clara recognized from her childhood, a lullaby her mother sang before she disappeared in a single-car collision that the police called an accident. The oil on her skin began to glow, faintly under the moonlight streaming through the window. This wasn't just mineral oil. It was desert gold, a rare extract Elias spent months harvesting. "The ritual requires focus, Clara," he commanded. "Don't look at the cellar door. Don't think about the world you left behind. Just feel the heat leaving your body." Clara felt a microclimax of tension with every stroke of his hands. She was pretending to sleep, but her mind was racing. Why was this man who lived in total isolation so familiar with her anatomy? Why did he know about the cigarette burn on her ankle that she always covered with makeup? The psychological loop was tightening. She felt a deep, romantic connection to this stranger, a blood debt of the soul that she couldn't explain. The silence was heavy, and the air in the cabin grew thick with the scent of ozone. Suddenly, the sound of a heavy engine, not a bike, but a black SUV approached the cabin. Elias didn't stop the massage. He just pressed harder on a specific point on her spine. "The truth is 200,000 deep, Clara, and it's time to dig it up." The SUV screeched to a halt outside. 3 men in tactical gear stepped out, the cleaners hired by Clara's stepfather to ensure she never reached her 25th birthday. They thought they were walking into a lonely old man's shack. They didn't know the strange geography of Elias Thorne's mind. Elias finally stood up, wiping the oil from his hands onto a rag. He looked at Clara, his eyes blazing with a military command intensity. "Stay under the table. Don't move until the dust settles." The standoff was short, but insane. Elias didn't use a gun. He used the desert itself. He triggered a strange mechanism that released a cloud of blinding red dust into the porch area. And then he moved like a ghost. He used his knowledge of pressure points to incapacitate the first 2 men in seconds. The leader, a man named Marcus, the same man who had locked Clara in a basement months ago, managed to get inside. He pointed a suppressed pistol at Elias. "Give us the girl and the inheritance, old man, and maybe we'll let you die fast." Elias just smiled. A pure American grit smile. "You're standing on my wife's grave, Marcus, and you're about to join her." The identity flip was beginning to surface. Clara crawled out from under the table as Elias disarmed Marcus with a move that was too fast to follow. Marcus was zip-tied and bleeding, his fake authority shattered. Clara looked at Elias, her heart hammering against her ribs. "How do you know my mother? How do you know about the money?" Elias reached into a hidden compartment in the stone wall and pulled out a waterproof notebook, the same kind of documentation we see in our most untouchable stories. Inside were bank statements, forged records, and photos of a young Elias with Clara's mother. "I didn't meet your mother in a car accident. Clara," Elias said, his voice breaking for the first time. "I was her secret guardian before you were born. Your stepfather didn't just kill her for the $180,000 insurance. He killed her because she found out he was part of a cartel cleaning operation." The shocking ending was hitting home. Elias wasn't just a lonely old man. He was Clara's biological father, the man her mother had hidden, a way to keep him safe from the very people who were now on the floor. The massage and the oil were a way to check for the genetic markers and scars that proved her identity. He had waited 20 years in this desert prison for his daughter to find her way home. The romance she felt was the blood debt of a father's love, a protective fury that had spanned 2 decades. By morning, the cleaners were gone, handed over to a group of retired rangers who Elias still kept on speed dial. Clara and Elias sat on the porch, watching the sun rise over the Mojave. She wasn't a lost woman anymore. She was untouchable. The $200,000 inheritance was recovered and used to build a sanctuary for women escaping the same high society abuse Clara had survived. Elias didn't leave his cabin, but he wasn't lonely anymore. He had his daughter, and she had the only protector who had never let her down. This story teaches us that real heroes don't always wear a badge or a vest. Sometimes they wear the dust of the desert and carry the weight of a 20-year secret. Clara's lost control was the best thing. That ever happened to her? Because it led her to the unexpected truth. Pain and patience had finally opened the door to the greatest reward. Friends Clara and Elias's journey proves that the desert doesn't just take lives, it restores them. If you believe in the power of a father's blood debt and real redemption, smash that like button right now. And if you want more stories of grit, romance, and the shocking truth, hit the subscribe button for Highway Ghost. Comment below, reunited, if you felt that ending. Stay loyal, ride for the truth, and we'll see you in the next one.